For Brevard County, Dr. Greg Forbes is our severe weather and expert.
Well, and Steve, you know, we do look to the threat of tornadoes and flooding coming in here with hurricanes. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more for us?
Yeah, I sure will, Heather. We have that threat of tornadoes throughout the morning, southern two-thirds of the Florida Peninsula, as well as street flooding. That'll continue into the afternoon as Wilma pushes off toward the north and east, and those eye wall has occasionally a chance of tornadoes within that. And particularly at the moment, some of the rain bands are in an area well to the left of the path. Now, that's not the usual favored quadrant. It's usually that right front quadrant. But these rain bands coming on shore up near Melbourne, West Melbourne, Palm Bay, and Malabar in Brevard County have the greatest tornado threat at the moment. There's very strong winds, 85, even 100-mile-per-hour gusts coming through in this front eye wall, and perhaps also in the back eye wall and the north portion of the eye wall going across the southern part of central Florida. But really the tornado threat at the moment, as I indicate, are in these individual little storms that are pushing onshore in the area north of Vero Beach, up around the Palm Bay and the Melbourne, Malabar areas. Now, yesterday, those rain bands coming onshore gave a huge water spot. This is down around the Key West mid-afternoon yesterday, and look at the size of this. This is like a classic Midwest supercell type tornado. Missed Key West by a couple miles as it went off just to the west. The lightning came right across Key West, and the tornado was on the west side. Now let's switch sources. We'll see the tornado threat here on Weather Pro 3. Tornado threat really twofold today. We have those rain bands that are just out ahead of the center that are pushing onshore, winds at the surface from the southeast, then very strong above the surface coming in from the north. But then we have that extra factor to the left of the track. There's a stationary front that is across the area from near Sarasota up into the Melbourne area. And that's where some of those rain bands are hitting that and giving a tornado threat a little bit to the odd area left of the path of the center. So accordingly, through the afternoon, all of this area from around Titusville over to Sarasota and southward, we have that tornado threat. That will diminish then once we get past mid-afternoon. These tornadoes, fortunately, look like they're going to be isolated. We've had 9 reports thus far. Category 5, or hurricanes that were once Category 5, have usually a high probability of producing a lot of tornadoes. There have been 15 of those landfalls since 1950. 10 of those 15 have had 17 or more tornadoes. 9 reported thus far. We may get more as we begin to examine some of the damage from warnings that have occurred overnight. Of course, we also have that threat of very heavy rain. Fortunately, Wilma is moving very fast, but the southern two-thirds of Florida getting 4 inches or more, especially central Florida here with a little bit more prolonged rain could get 6-8 inches of rain. That's going to cause some street flooding for sure. Then Wilma's remnants skirt up the coast. Some of the west side of the heavy rain through Monday evening through Wednesday morning could give 2, perhaps some 3-inch rains in southern and eastern parts of New England. That will bring some of those rivers that had been declining back up, perhaps a little bit above flood stage. Some street flooding there, coastal flooding, and strong gusty winds also for New England. Heather, Marshall?
I'm sorry, Greg, that was a slip of the tongue. I tried to make you a wealthier man, not Steve Forbes, but Greg Forbes. Sorry about that.
No problem. Let's hit that bottom line now. Here's what we know. These are the facts as we know right now. Landfall did occur at 6:30 a.m. That was at Cape Romano, about 20 miles west of Everglades City. The impacts are widespread as the center is moving across South Florida this morning. Very strong winds headed for the Miami metropolitan area. In fact, they're already affecting the Miami area as you see the eye of the storm now moving across the Everglades.
And, you know, we're going to continue to find that the winds here are going to get worse in a lot of locations here and continue to pick up. And you look at some of these areas where we have had some winds that we have had clocked up to 107 miles per hour in some areas. We've also been finding many locations where the winds have been gusting up to about 70 to 75, 80, 85 miles per hour.
Now, here are the warnings. They're all along the southeast and southwest coast, still south of Titusville, around the Horn, through Miami and into the Keys. And you can imagine as such as they are getting hit right now with hurricane force wind gusts in the Keys and getting rocked pretty badly also in Miami Beach where Jeff Morrow is stationed. And a projected path of this storm will continue to move to the northeast and be well out to sea by early Tuesday morning.
And we want to mention here, too, that that low is going to continue to work up into the northeast, and that's another area that has been hit very hard by rain recently, so this is not going to help the situation there either. So this is not just a hurricane that'll be affecting Florida, although it will no longer be a hurricane. Still big impacts along the eastern seaboard, especially the northeast.
Well, you're watching Hurricane Central, uninterrupted coverage of Hurricane Wilma, commercial-free as well. We're going to head back to Naples right now.
And that is where Mike Bettis is standing by. And Mike, what are the conditions like right now?
Well, we're still dealing with some very heavy rain, and with the rain, we've had some flooding. I want to show you the parking lot behind me here, and you can see, you get on the other side of the divider there, it is flooded. And so we've got a good about 10 inches to a foot of water, standing water here in some of the parking lots. A lot of this has come in, a little bit of overspray off of Naples Bay, and also just some heavy rain that has fallen. But plenty of cars here in the parking lot. They may be at risk to be underwater, so we'll certainly watch for that. But we're now starting to see our winds shift just a little bit as the storm begins to pass by us, and that may cause some surge from the Gulf side, something that we'll definitely watch. An area not too far from here, Marco Island. We have some new pictures in this morning from that area. I want to show that to you. They're dealing with the same things that we're dealing with here in the Naples area, dealing with some very high winds, also dealing with plenty of rain there, so flooding. Also, a very pressing issue there, and I think that's going to be the trend here across much of southwest Florida through the morning hours. Now that the light has come up, it's a completely different story here this morning, that is for sure. And so there are multiple things to watch with this system. I even want to show you here where we are live now, some of the pictures here in the parking lot. A lot of debris here, a lot of trees that are coming down, stuff like this, palm fronds, a lot of coconuts that are flying around, and been watching this restaurant that is down the way, and I hope you can see that from where we are. We're actually kind of shooting right into the rain. Parts of the roof and the fencing around it are starting to tear up right now, and we talked to that restaurant manager yesterday. They were leaving yesterday. They brought in all their patio furniture to keep it all secure. It was all glass top tables, so they brought them all inside, but all the windows that face the bay side were not boarded up. All large glass windows there, so you can look out picturesque over the bay. They have not been covered up, and they may be blown in.
That was Mike Bettis reporting from Naples, Florida, getting a little bit of satellite problems there and a digital blackout. We're going to head to Miami Beach now. And
that is where Jeff Morrow is standing by. He'll take over. And Jeff, again, kind of fill us in on what's happening in this region.
All right, it's a wild morning, Heather and Marshall, just a completely wild morning. We're going to wipe off the lens there a little bit. I'm going to have my cameraman show you the power of the wind there behind me. Again, look at the trees. I mean, I almost don't have to say anything, folks. I mean, it's a hurricane here. It's blowing hard. Right over behind those trees, you might be able to see some power poles. They're swaying in the wind as well. There was a transformer up on one of them there. It completely exploded here within the last 3 minutes. I've never seen one go that close. And when I say explode, I mean explode. It went to pieces, and green and yellow and blue flash and flames coming out of it. Again, it looks like we've lost power, at least over in that part. Again, just tremendous, tremendous, tremendous wind. We just fed some pictures down. Our cameraman Rodney went out and shot some stuff here, and I got to give my kudos to him. He's a brave man being out in all this. But as soon as we can get those pictures up around this area, we can. But even in our little area right here, and we're at Miami Beach, just the wind's howling. I mean, it is roaring. Fortunately, we're able to shelter ourselves a little bit, even though, as I mentioned earlier, pieces of the roof here of this building being renovated are coming apart and flying around. Again, whoa, I don't know if you saw that. A huge piece of debris just flew off the roof and went on by there. Again, oh, there it goes again, there it goes. It's just, oh, look at it, it's just flying all over the place. That's what we're dodging here, folks. I mean, it is just incredible. The wind gust, probably upwards of 100 miles an hour between some of these buildings. Rain coming down sideways. Again, just all this debris. Whoa, it's coming our way a little bit. Wow. Just take a look, folks. This is a hurricane. This is a Category 3, and we're not even into the worst of it yet. Bad. Really bad stuff. And again, if anybody is here right now, I mean, watching me, and I don't know if they can see cable here in the Miami area. If you can, don't go outside. in anywhere here in this part of the Gold Coast of South Florida don't. There's another piece of debris flying down, whoa, down the roadway here. I don't know if you can hear that or not. Again, when I said shooting gallery last time, Heather, I meant it. I mean, it is dangerous. So I'll tell you what, I'll get back to you on this, but as soon as it becomes a little bit more safe, whoa, there goes, whoa, another whole bunch of stuff flying. Whoa, it's just filling the